Hello all, welcome to another endgame study of the Solving Other Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. This composition was created by the chess composer Viktor Ramuzenko. It's white to play and to win. As always, I suggest you watch the guide if you haven't, so you are better prepared for the practice. Then the main countdown of 10 minutes will start, and I catch you back with the beginning of the guided solution. And here we go, and the first good move, it's the brilliant knight g5, double exclamation mark, brilliant one. Well, it's easy now. It's like Columbo's egg. After we see it, well, it's easy. We are simply threatening to go with rook h8, checkmate. Well, I didn't saw this one very well because I went with a different one. I went with the forced move of going with rook g2. Before going to that, well, why not the knight going to f6 instead of g5? Well, simply because then the queen will check, taking our rook, and next move it's going to grab the knight. And of course, over here it's just blunder after blunder, so we are lost. And so, as I was saying to you, I was seeing this one and lost a lot of tempo with this one. But over here, well, black can simply go to promote to a queen, and of course, now we have more than one option to go to forced moves. Passive moves doesn't work a lot because, of course, we are able to go and keep the draw over here because we are playing a queen versus rook and knight. So it's still a draw, but not easy for white for sure. And the active moves, like for example, going with the check, well, the king just escaped. Notice that over here the king can't go to e6. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to maneuver and to skew the king from behind and then grab the queen and grab a win again. But of course, black over here won't go to e6, will go with the king d6. And now I need to check it again. And over here, I need to find a very hard move, which is to bring the knight to the fight. Otherwise, I won't be able to escape with a draw. Of course, I'm not already playing for a win, but I need to find this move, which is not easy. And of course, black will bring a second queen to the game, but we check the king and check it again. Now we take one queen, and after here, we just need to maneuver with a check and then grab the bishop. So we get level material more or less to keep the draw until the end, although it's, of course, black with an easy game for the draw. Okay, so what else? What else? What else over here? Okay, we went with the rook g8 check. We can also see the other check, the rook taking on d5 check. This forces the king to move away, but again, we are not going to be able to force it much. We are going to need to play this one, and so we are just expecting a draw from here. Okay, let's go to the beginning. Let's go with a brilliant move from white. Now the move is forced because, of course, white is threatening to checkmate in one. So, of course, going with the promotion of the pawn is not enough because we are going to check and then the queen blocks to avoid checkmate, but we have knight going with d6 checkmate. So this is not going to work for black. So black needs to find, of course, the forcing moves of checking the king with this cover check. Now the king, of course, takes the bishop. Now black needs to find another hard one because again, not enough to play the promotion of the pawn. We are just simply going to check on the h8. The queen block it, but of course we have this extra move from the knight, moving the king away and then checkmate it again. So over here, black also needs to find a hard one, but also a brilliant one, which is to go with the queen. Brilliant one, checking our king. We now have to accept this is the only move for white because, of course, going to a5 is pretty obvious. We are checkmating in one, and going to a7. Well, we need to see that we not also need to deal with the check on h8, but also the knight going to e6. So it's a matter of maneuvering a bit, placing the queen in a good spot. Notice that from here it's controlling all moves from the knight. The knight won't be able to escape this one. And of course, over here the king moves, and the promotion of the pawn with the second queen will just keep black going for a win from here. So not happy for white not to accepting the queen in one. So the queen, of course, is accepted, and the next move is pretty obvious. The queen promotes with a check. So now, first pause for us, first extra minute, pause if you need more, and then I come back to continue with white to play and go for a win. And over here, of course, we need to move our queen. The king has five options, of course, but only one works. Which is the one that works? It's going to d5. I don't think this is very hard because basically we are escaping direct checks from black over here. Let's see what happens if the king goes to e7, b7, sorry, b6 is more or less the same. Well, over here, the queen will just approach with checks, and after this one, the queen is already controlling the key intermediate move from white. So the king needs to go to the side, can't come back. And of course, black also can't progress because the checkmate threat is always there. And so we get a draw by repetition. Uh, the king going to the b file can't go with to go to the b5 square because now black can promote the other pawn to another queen, and we think, okay, but then we are going to checkmate it. Well, not exactly, because when the queen block, well, we don't have the knight e6 because simply the queen blocks, but it's also check. So we are forced to accept the queen, and of course over here with an extra pawn it's different. Black is going to be the one winning this one. Also, going with king to d6 doesn't work because this allows black to go with a different approach for the king. And after a while, we are going to get similar position. The queen is now controlling the intermediate move from the knight, so we are able to block it. And even if the knight goes to f7 instead of e6, we can simply take it because now if the rook takes one queen, we take the other rook. And if the rook takes the d8 queen, well, we can take it with a queen. And so we get the queen versus rook game that I can promote it by my master series on it. If you are not able to win with a queen versus rook, well, review the series and get that win from there. Okay, so let's go with the main one. Let's go with the king going to d5. And over here, black has not many options also. Needs to sacrifice the queen again. It's the only way to check. It's to sacrifice for the knight. So reducing the pieces over the board. But of course, we are still going for a win. So another minute for you. Pause if you need more. What is the correct move? This is more or less a flip coin, which is the correct rook that we should go for taking the queen. And I hope you have found the correct flip of the coin. You need to go with the rook on the G file. This is the correct one because if you take with the other rook, well, which seems at the moment not making any difference, well, but it makes because black will promote the pawn for a queen, only way to escape very fast defeat. And of course, now the king needs to go to the queen side, escaping from the checks again. Now we check it again on b8. The king can't go to a5, of course, because otherwise it will be checkmate. So needs to go and stay on a6. Now we use the same rook on b8 to check it on a8. And now the only way to force checkmate is to come with the rook to a7. So the idea is we are threatening checkmating one. Well, the problem is it won't work because now we are able to check from h1. The king will move, but of course we have perpetual checks over here. It's impossible now for white to win it. It will be a draw most probably. So taking with this rook doesn't work. We need to go with the other one. So the queen promotes, and again, how can we start the checks for the king? So again, the final minute for you. It's almost another flip coin. Find what is the correct rook to go and check the king to go until the win. Well, I hope you haven't needed the flip coin. We need to calculate. If you go with the rook h8, it's impossible because the king will escape at the same. So we need to use the second rook to create the matching threat. And the king goes again to a6 because a5 will be checkmate in one. Now we check it again in a8, and we get more or less the same position. As soon as we set up the mating threat in one, well, the queen also has available the h1 square, and so we get the initiative for black, and so we can't escape the draw over here. So the correct one is to go with the G rook. Rook G8 exclamation mark. So the king escapes again, and now all will be different because of over here a6 again, rook a8 check, the king comes back to b6, but now rook a to a7, and there is no check anymore on h1. We are able to take it with a rook. If the queen sacrifice, of course, we are going to accept it because the king can take the other rook, but over here, as you can see, it's game over for black. And of course, any other move, let's say the queen goes to g3, well, it's simply even funnier. It's just mate in one. Okay, this was a bit harder probably because we had to find several precise moves from black, from the not just discovering check but then sacrificing the queen. Nevertheless, I hope it was good for you, entertainment, and as always, I catch you up with future videos. Bye bye and keep checking.